Welcome to the Heat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, statistician and pun master, host of the Dunker Spot on the Basketball News Network, Nekias Duncan.
Hello. How are you, sir?
We're moving, we're grooving, we're doing good. It's nice. I always say this after a win. It's just nice to do shows after a win. Nekias, I don't know if you caught Heat Twitter yesterday, but when they were down 4 in that third quarter, it was like I literally saw people in our mentions saying I'd rather not make the playoffs. Like down 4 in a third quarter against a good team. Like the Spurs aren't a bad team.
They're not a bad team. Like, I guess this just feels like a lot of frustration building up with this team, and especially following the Chicago loss, which I also fed into on Twitter.
I mean, but that was bad, dude.
Like, yeah, like I'm sorry. Like, I understand missing players, but like you have Jimmy and Bam. Like, do what you need to do.
The Bulls without Levine. Like, I don't understand how they score points. And Denzel Washington, who actively hurts them. Like, Denzel's dude. That guy's bad.
He's yeah. Well, Denzel Valentine first and foremost.
Huh?
I said you threw out Denzel Washington. I was like, oh well, very neat. But
no, I said Denzel Valentine.
You thought you said Denzel Valentine.
I did? Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. I was messing with you. But yeah, it was just a very odd game that nobody could. I understand. Following that with losing the lead to the Spurs, I can understand where the frustration came in. But luckily, Miami pulled it out, and we're here in a good mood.
Let's talk a little bit about that game, because I thought the Spurs played well. Like, DeMar was hitting tough shots. I thought Bam was doing a good job, because in that Chicago game, they were dropping Bam a little bit, and I don't know if that was a product of them playing Tice and Vooch together with Markkanen at the 3, which is like one of the weirdest things ever, but whatever.
Yeah.
So they were kind of dropping Bam, and I didn't like that look for their defense, even though I understood why they did it. It seemed like the Bulls were just getting to the soft spots a little easier, and against the Spurs they were switching Bam onto DeMar, and dude, DeMar was hitting tough stuff and quick. I can't even look at the Heat defense and say no, that was bad.
I mean, that's what DeMar's been doing all year long. Like, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen more drop from Miami this year. Like, it's weird. Like, even coming into the year, like I was expecting a repeat of what happened last season. Like, we're gonna play drop. Midway through the season after the All-Star break, maybe you implement more switching. If you want to throw in some trapping, that's fine. But I thought the shift to switching was going to come in the second half of the season. But they just kind of started off with that and then juice things with trapping. So to see Miami look a little bit out of sorts in the drop, my co-host Steve Jones Jr. was tossing some clips at me the other night about how Dewayne Dedmon was looking. It wasn't great, didn't necessarily fit my Dewayne Dedmon agenda. But I don't know, like Bam can play anything you want him to. So I guess it's not a problem with him, but it didn't seem tight. I wonder if they're going to use the last few games to kind of tinker with that. I would imagine they are going to want to play at least some version of drop if they get, let's say they get to the playoffs, lower seed, they play Philly. Like if Philly drops to 2 or something and it's 2-7. I don't know. I want to see it. I think they have
they have to against Simmons.
Yeah, I don't think you want to end up switching point guards onto Ben Simmons.
No, bad idea. Well, for me, I thought yesterday Dedmon and drop was good, and I was watching some of his kind of defensive possessions, and they sink him deep, and I don't mind that. And their defensive rating is fine when he's on the court. It's not great, but it's whatever. It's fine. And I those units typically are not defensive juggernauts. It's a lot of Goran. It's a lot of Nunn, right? It's a lot of Andre, by the way, has kind of what happened.
He
was giving them really good minutes early, and now I really don't want to see him out there.
Yeah, I've never really been comfortable with how important he's been to them. This seems like a theme for all of the Heat players outside of Jimmy and Bam. Kelly Olynyk, he's been good, but you don't want to rely on him. Andre Iguodala is giving you good minutes, you don't want to rely on him. So now the shot has completely fallen off the face of the earth, and you're left with the reality that at this stage, he's like a 6'5", 6'6" power forward that can't shoot. And there are only so many handoffs you can run with him because he's not really a screen presence. He knows how to slip into space, but who's really worried about Andre Iguodala getting downhill for you at this point? So they're gonna need someone in the wing rotation to step up. I'm not sure who.
I mean, they have Ariza, and then after that, they don't, because KZ has given them absolutely nothing, like nothing, and that's been, I think they banked on a lot of internal improvements from Tyler, from KZ, from a bunch of guys, and Bam's the only one that's given them any juice worth the squeeze.
Yeah,
and I guess Jimmy in a weird way.
it's been tough. Like, again, I mean, he's falling off a cliff now, but it was funny the first stretch with Mo Harkless in Sacramento where he looked like an NBA player again. It's just like, that would have been nice to have, so you wouldn't have to rely on some of these guys. But KZ, the KZ situation makes me sad.
Really
like
is.
He was just kind of like, he didn't play well, but he was also yanked around, so he didn't really have a way to establish any sort of rhythm. Like, you could tell he's playing timid sometimes. Other times you could tell he's like forcing some aggression, because you could tell, I mean, you kind of knew, oh wait, they think I'm not being aggressive enough, I have to show that I can attack. And he never really found anything. And like, I think he can still give Miami decent minutes defensively, like he has the length for it, but it's money time now. They can't afford to throw him out as the random spark. Like, earlier in the season was his time to prove that he could be a rotation player, and I think that's pretty much done for the year. So they're gonna have to hope that Andre Iguodala bounces back at some point.
Going back to Dedmon, because I know that I sidetracked to this. I don't think I thought the Bulls game was not the best like showing for him. What up? We're welcoming in Brian Goins. What's up, Brian? Producer and co-founder.
Sorry, guys. I tried to plan on Uber Eats delivery on time, and you know how it
That's
is.
why you're late. You could have lied and said it was something important. You're talking about your damn Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, producers got to eat. I respect it.
Producer.
I try to time it, guys. You know, like, you don't want to like order too early when you're not hungry, but you also don't want to order too late where you miss your podcast. Well, I try to figure out that sweet spot was like an hour before show. Yeah, it turns out it took over an hour for this delivery to come, like less than 10 minutes away from where I live.
You're kind of like the Heat. They can't figure out like what the sweet spot of like how many defensive players to offensive player they should have on the court. It's like that.
That's a great analogy, G. Is that like the best thing you said all show so far?
I don't know. I liked. I called Denzel Valentine Denzel Washington, so that's how we started. And now we're here talking about. Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry, Denzel Washington. That's. Woof.
Wrong guy.
Wrong guy.
Wrong guy. It's like when Nekias gets mixed up for Chris Paul and Kawhi Leonard. Wrong guy.
So I have to switch up. That's your boy, dude.
That video I saw today of like the DBZ fusion.
Yeah.
Low key, that was kind of perfect.
Yo, dog, Twitter. I feel bad for you when that happens. I gotta be honest with you. Like it's changed.
Is it racist?
Is it
yes.
racist?
I mean, like, inherently, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is it bad that I laugh at it though?
Yes, you're canceled.
A little bit, but I mean, I understand it. Like, it's very lightweight joking. Like, I don't take it to heart, but like, it's you know, I don't in fact look like literally every black NBA player with a beard.
Yeah.
So
well, in that case, it was not a beard. It was,
I guess you don't really look like Solomon Hill.
You look like black NBA players without a beard, i.e., Chris Paul and young Amari Stoudemire. So
there we go.
Going back to Uncle Dedmon, Mr. Dwayne Dedmon. Nekias, I liked what he's given them in the drop outside of the Chicago game. I think it's been mostly good. He really sits back, waits, and I think it's a good change of pace for their defense. They kind of, it gives them another element to do stuff. The Dedmon and Jimmy minutes have been just like a tornado on both ends of the floor. It's like been really good. And I kind of like that extra dimension that he gives them. He can go up to the level of the screen when he needs to. He's done some trapping. I like it. They have like a good diet of stuff he does.
He's a vet that knows where to be. Like, that's very cliche to say, but
it's true.
He's played for a lot of teams. Like, I mean, he has some San Antonio pedigree. He's been a little bit of everywhere. Has played in just about every coverage imaginable. I like him more either in the drop or just coming up to the level. The traps have been better than I expected, but I wouldn't call them good. That really got him in trouble in that second Chicago game in particular, to where he'll show.
Like he's played. I kind of feel like he's played better against some of the teams that he used to play for now. Like the Atlanta game was pretty good at, and now both these San Antonio games he's been pretty good. So when do we play Sacramento next?
It's gonna be the Mo Harkless revenge game. But no, like the traps haven't been great. Like, they got him in trouble in Chicago to where he'll hedge out, corral the ball handler, but once he gets into that recovery, He went somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where he went, but I've been more impressed with him offensively. Like, he's crashing the glass. He's been a godsend there. But like, the fact that he's a legitimate role threat is not something that I expected. Like, I thought he would provide some value as like maybe a mid-range pick and pop guy. Like, I'm still waiting on the 3-ball to fall for him. Maybe I'm just kind of holding out hope for no reason on that front. But he's diving with some oomph, has good hands. Like,
did he shoot any threes so far? I don't remember him shooting one. But I mean, I haven't watched every single Heat game like you guys have.
He has taken 1 3. Brian, we don't admit that here. You lie and you say you watch every game.
I don't. I've told you guys this. Like, I've been in and out from just life in general with the Heat for like the last 2.5 months. I'm finally like coming back into like this whole podcast realm. It's been weird 2 months for me, but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to see Nekias' face again, to be honest. More than G's.
Nekias is just delightful. Nekias makes everyone
I'm
happy.
surprised Nekias is still doing this for us. Like, you're a little too big time for this pod now.
Yeah, you're way too. You're on TV and shit. You're here on our little Twitch channel with 50 live viewers.
Like, we pay you, but like, I feel like we're still paying you too little.
We're broke. That's all we got.
Just here to help the fellas and the ladies, you know.
So, Nekias, let me ask you something, because I just pulled up Heat's pick and roll players by points per possession. Who do you think the top 3 are this season in points per possession as a roll man?
As a roll man, is Jimmy up there?
Jimmy is up there.
Okay.
Jimmy's number 2,
right.
1.47.
All right, Jimmy's up there. I would imagine Dedmon's up there.
Dedmon is up there at 1.36.
So. Because this, like, Bam seems too obvious. Like, there's gonna be like some sort of slip option that's like really good. I don't think Duncan's does he have enough possessions to be up there?
He does.
Is Duncan up there?
Duncan's number 1 at 1.60 points per possession as a roll man.
There we go.
You're better at this than you are at the game that Steve plays with you on Dunker Spot. You never get the. Sometimes I'm yelling at my car when you forget someone. I was like, "Come on, guys! It's so obvious."
Yeah, I'm trying, man. He does very well with the trivia. I must say.
It's great. Listen, Duncan, and we'll get into Duncan after we talk about Dedmon. But yeah, I mean, Duncan's 2-man game with Jimmy. I mean, they were playing like in a phone booth. They had no space, and they were making that work. Dedmon seals his man so well, sometimes to a point that I'm like, that's not legal. But they can't call everything.
The tie seal.
Oh my god! Like, dude, he was like pushing him.
But yeah, I mean, I
love it.
That's what stood out. Like, his first game in Miami, like, he just plays physical, and that's such low hanging fruit. But we've watched a long line of Heat bigs that don't always make contact over the last few years. So it's nice to see Dewayne Dedmon come in there and just kind of lay the lumber. And
wait. Was that a shot at Hassan just there?
No, that was a shot at Willie Reed. Duh.
So it's a shot at any big man that did not make consistent contact.
Who's the last big man that's like been this great off? Like, is it Chris Anderson?
Yeah, it's Birdman.
Yeah,
like that they picked. I mean, well, Willie Reed gave him like legit good minutes.
Yeah, I mean, and then he became what?
He's
assaulted somebody, right? Yeah, he's canceled.
Yes. Way to lob that in here awkwardly.
But to say the real answer would be Hassan at that point. I mean,
I guess yeah, that's true. Do you remember like they'd play him like 5 minutes and we were like, damn, like these are really good, because they were like the worst rebounding team in the league by a lot, and he came in and he like instantly fixed that by himself.
Yeah, and blocked literally everything. It was a great initial run, and then we just kept playing them, and then the
and then Snapchat happened. Yeah, I know.
And then the wheels fell off.
Yeah, fell out of favor a little bit. But, you know.
HW21. Sorry, we can't say his name. Apparently, that's what chat's saying.
There we go.
Chat doesn't like it. So Dedmon's stats on the 21. Season. Everybody loves tweeting these out. His on-offs. When he's on in 107 minutes, they're plus 21 net rating, a 130 offensive rating, 108 defensive rating. That offensive rating's obviously like insane. Part of it's propped up by his insane offensive rebound rate. Nekias, the Heat they're at 31% offensive rebound percentage, which would put, when he's on the floor, which would put them at the top of the league with the Pelicans. That's insane. They went from like the worst offensive rebounding team to the best offensive rebounding team in Dewayne Dedmon minutes.
Like, I don't know how sustainable that part is, but he's just been really great. I mean, he's just been physical. Like, he does his work early. He's battled on the glass. It's funny that he's doing this without really having much vertical pop. Like,
long, man.
Yeah, he's just a big, strong, long dude. Like, he just he has the angles down. He gets in there.
What are you saying, Brian?
This is chat said, "Gee, is this close to admitting that rebounds matter?"
I think that I've been misrepresented in that take. Nekias, Tiff and I had an argument about like rebounding, like the importance of rebounding, and I'm like, well, if obviously, like you don't want to be like the worst in the league at anything, right? If you can get to like middle of the pack at rebounding, you can survive as long as you're scoring enough. Mm-hmm. Because your threes are going to offset offensive rebound putbacks and stuff like that. Like your offense can largely, like if you don't turn the ball over and if you can score, you can offset the need of rebounding. So that was always my point. Mm-hmm. And everybody has misconstrued it to say, I think rebounds don't matter. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm off base for what I'm saying.
Okay, all rebounds matter.
Oh, God. First and foremost, like I get your point. I think I mostly agree with it. Also, I think this is just kind of tying into your general dislike of Andre Drummond. Like maybe that's how all of this is coming together.
Oh, he sucks. He's bad. I wish Rui Hachimura yammed on him and not poor Anthony Davis.
That's tough. That's not.
Oh, if Rui had gotten, and by the way, like they were saying that was an offensive foul on the ESPN broadcast. Dorisberg, I love you. Don't take that away from Rui.
Poor Anthony Davis. He's a max player. What are you talking about?
Embarrassed on TV, man. You don't want to be embarrassed. So the Dedmon...
Oh, shout out to Twisted Tapioca for gifting a tier 1 sub to Smeef and Smolk. Does he not have a... I thought Smeef and Smolk was already subscribed.
No, Schmeethan gets gifted subs by everybody.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes, Schmeethan's never paid for a drink at this bar. Everybody buys him drinks. If you're a podcast listener, you gotta hop on the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/MIAHeatbeat. We stream every podcast, pregame show, and the Hangover Time postgame show. It's fun. You get in here, you chat. Sometimes we read like funny stuff, and you guys get to kind of help us produce the show. You kind of drive. Crab Smut Peddler says very smartly, "Is Duncan Robinson the next Giannis?" I mean, you don't get commentary like that anywhere else but our Twitch chat. So join in. If you're a YouTube watcher, come to the Twitch stream. It's a lot of fun. And if you are a YouTube watcher and you want this on pod version, remember we're on Spotify, Apple Pods, all that good stuff.
Okay. And if you want this hat, which I'm wearing right now, you can get it at shop.miamiheatbeat.com. Plus, there'll be new merch coming out tomorrow.
Yes,
which I'll be putting up during the day.
I don't remember the command for Twitch chat.
It's merch.
Okay, merch. Okay, exclamation point merch. So we'll throw that in there if anybody wants to take a look at our store. Browse. We have something fun coming out tomorrow that I think you guys are going to like. So real quickly to close out the Dedmon talk. 55 of those 107 minutes, Dedmon's played with Jimmy. Plus 30 net rating, 130 offensive rating, 101 defensive rating. And to me, Nekias, I thought the game turned. Well, it's not I think. It was fact. The game turned when it was starters minus Bam plus Dedmon. Mm-hmm. And they had a little bit of space, a little bit of punch. And Dedmon and Jimmy have such good chemistry in that two-man game that their offense was fixed. And then suddenly the guard screens were working a little better. Everything was kind of moving a little smoother. And I kind of wonder how much more of that we're going to see. Like, if there's going to be just a commitment to be like, okay, let's get Bam out early. Let's get Jimmy and Dedmon in, and let's let them run roughshod over second units. That's a look I really, really like for them.
I would imagine that's going to be something that they would explore. Like, I mean, Dedmon obviously isn't a big that can self-create, so having someone like Jimmy on the floor for him to run some pick and roll to get on some easier looks, I think that helps. And then you just get all the size benefits of Dedmon that you don't necessarily get from Bam, like the offensive rebounding. They play more drop. You can kind of funnel things more inside there. And if you're playing drop, that's more Jimmy on the weak side, more activity there, and he's able to split, pick off passes, dig from the nail, whatever you need him to do. So it's a pairing that makes sense. It's something that they can explore. And again, if you get Bam out early, bring him back in, he gets some higher usage minutes, helps create for the other guards since they've had struggles creating for themselves. And I think that's something that Miami should look for. I mean, they should continue to do moving forward.
I was asked, and Brian, I want to get you on in this first. Nekias, you first, and Brian. I was asked, who are the Heat's third and fourth best players, not counting Oladipo? And I was like, well, I think Duncan's pretty comfortably their third best player this season.
Not counting Oladipo.
Not counting Oladipo. And for the fourth, I was like, at this point, I think it's either Dedmon or none. And I'm not sure. Like, the impact that Dedmon has on the game is a lot more palpable than none. Like, you feel Dedmon. There are, like, statistical backers that are overwhelming, that he legitimately changes their identity when he's on the court positively into a plus rebounding team, a good offensive team, kind of a little tougher. And it's kind of crazy to say that, but I think I go Duncan 3, Dedmon 4.
How depressing is that?
Yeah.
Dedmon is like, if Dedmon is 4, or even if none is 4, considering what you're expecting from Goran Dragić and Tyler Hero, like, what does that say about the seasons that they're having?
Oh, I mean, I think it reflects
suck.
in the standings.
What?
It reflects that you're in 7th place.
Yeah, that's just kind of tough. I mean, again, I agree with you. Duncan is I think he's definitely 3. Like, he's made some subtle leaps in his game on both ends. Like, he's improved defensively. Offensively, the passes are coming out a little bit earlier, a little bit more precise, a little bit more comfortable attacking closeouts. You know what he brings as a movement shooter, even with the different percentage. Like, Miami's found creative ways to use him. I like that they're leaning more into pick and rolls with him. I like that he's screening a little bit more for Bam. Wow. That's fun. Like, they should just do that more often. I'll leave that there.
By the way, you know, if you guys like that kind of content, Duncan screening for Bam, there might be something dropping from this Heat Beat soon about that. So stay tuned.
Eyeball emoji. I think since Dedmon's been there, he's definitely been 3 or 4. The sample is just a little small for me to like give him that.
Oh, but it's per 36 though. Oof.
I hate Nekias, do you hate per 36 minutes? I hate those. I hate that stat. It's so useless.
Yeah, I don't really vibe with per 36 too often. The only time I'll use per 36 for like my own work is if I'm looking at what does a player's stats look like when he's playing with someone else. So like maybe it's, you know, like the fun one from last year was like what was Chris Middleton's per 36 with Giannis off the floor and what it looked like with him on the floor, like something like that. But just as a standalone, I don't really vibe with it like that. So if not Dedmon, like I guess it kind of has to be
none.
Like I'm torn between none and Ariza, just because Ariza has defended so well across so many spots, but he also just can't finish inside. I guess I'll give it to none.
You know, who can't finish inside.
Yeah, Dedmon. So you go Duncan none?
Yeah, I'll go Duncan none.
Okay. Well, also, like, before we get to Brian's, I don't think it's I think it's not coincidence, and host of the Weird Elf pregame show, Jack Alfonso, said this in our chat today. It's like, it's not a coincidence that Ariza and Dedmon, who haven't played in over a year, are the ones that look really good for this team, right? Because, you know, having an off season kind of matters.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's the little things, like not running your body into the ground. Brian, who you got at 3 and 4? Where we change
3 is definitely Duncan. So I feel like it's just toss up of who do you think is 4th.
Yeah.
4th, I'd probably put none right now because he's just been shooting really well since he's been back in the starting lineup. But ideally, yeah, you would really want Tyler or Goran to be there, especially in the playoffs. It was mostly Goran in the top 3 besides besides Jimmy and Bam. And I don't even know where Goran would fall if we're going to keep ranking players. I feel like he barely makes the top 8 now. That's sad.
Nekias, when Brian's point is great. When I was watching Heat Bulls, and when Goran had Vooch in drop in a point of their season that they needed that game, in a game that you absolutely needed, down the stretch, teetering on disaster, Goran gets the guy you want. If you could have picked anybody on the court to have isolated against Goran, you would have picked, I want Nik Vucevic. If you would have asked Goran would have said, I want that guy. And Goran had him in a drop and went right at him and couldn't beat him and flipped up one of the worst layups I've ever seen him throw up. And to me, I'm like, oh, he's like done. Like at that point, off 2 days rest, that was like, I'm like, he's done. Like that's just, I had nothing. I was like, yeah, that a healthy Goran Dragić just doesn't.
The thing is, he didn't even look bad yesterday. So it's like he has.
But that's all jump shots, Brian. Yeah. It's not him getting to the rim. Like that game against Chicago.
He had like one fast break. I guess in transition, that's when you actually see him really attacking more. He's better in
he can't beat guys off the dribble in the half court, and so, you know, I don't really know what
no
they
one
can
really
expect
can though, besides Jimmy at this point.
So yeah, Nekias, like I just wanted your thoughts on that, like kind of that specific play and like how it illustrates Goran's season.
It was disappointing because like we've seen it from Goran so many times throughout his Heat tenure. Like if you're going to playing in a drop, like he goes off the screen, snakes it. I mean, he got to his left hand, so he could have got to a sort of pull-up jumper, or could have got all the way to the rim. He elects to go to the rim and just tosses up this weird-looking flip shot that goes off the right side of the backboard, despite him being on the left side of the floor when he took the shot. And it's just like the fact that you couldn't beat Vucevic to the spot to get a cleaner layup angle is a problem. The actual layup attempt was a problem. And just the read there, because Vucevic was dropping back a little bit further than I guess he anticipated. Like the jumper was the actual decision to make. So from a decision-making standpoint, it wasn't great. From a burst standpoint, it wasn't great. Just trying to finish over that length, it wasn't great. And with it being, late fourth quarter, you need a bucket to kind of stop the bleeding and really give yourself a shot to make a comeback. Like he couldn't do it. And it's just kind of a microcosm of the season he's had. Like outside of the matter of fact, was that a Chicago game as well when he just kind of went off?
Yep, in Chicago.
Yeah, that was all jumpers. Yeah, he made like
all jumpers,
7 threes in like that fourth quarter, whatever it was.
That's why that didn't instill any confidence in me. I went on Hangover Time and I was like, or the podcast the next day, and I was like, I don't believe any of that. That's all jump shots. That didn't show me anything.
It's sad. Like this has kind of been on the wall. Like I mean, me and you have talked about it online, offline, that I've just been worried about what a Goran Dragić decline was going to look like.
That was fast. This was faster than I thought.
Yeah, like the foot injury last season, I think that accelerated things. But even before that, like I've had questions about his ability to kind of get to the rim on a whim. Like some nights he has it more than others, but it's never just I can just do it whenever I want to. And that's been the case for at least a year and a half, 2 years. And now you add in the injury, he ages a little bit more, and the offense isn't necessarily helping him either.
I didn't realize how much he relied on that step back three until I watched. So I watched all of his dribble handoff possessions. Shout out to Instat, my new favorite thing ever. And I watched all of his dribble handoff possessions from the bubble and from this season. And I'm like, he doesn't have that step back in the bag anymore. And he was just killing dudes with it. Like just absolutely killing dudes that were scared of Bam rolling, that were scared of any off-ball action from Duncan so they wouldn't send help. And he was either going to the rim or he had that step back if things went bad. And it's just like he has nothing to fall back on other than like those weird push shots that never go in.
Yeah, and I think that's the reliance on that. I think that's why you've seen the three-point rate continue to go up for him. Like you want him to transition into more of an off-ball shooter anyway. But it's at the point to where it's a necessity for him to be a positive, for him to knock down threes. And there have been a lot more possessions this year to where it's a jab and it's a contested shot instead of even trying to attack the basket because he just can't do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes Kendrick Nunn's emergence over the past couple of weeks. I mean, he missed the last couple of games, but that's what made his recent emergence so important, that they have another guy that can actually score at 2.5 levels. I think that helps. Getting Tyler Hero back at some point, you kind of need to see what he can do. I think the on-ball reps that he got earlier in the season, even though they didn't always look great, those are important for his development, and it's important for Miami to see what they have in the guard room with that role. This is going to be a really important stretch just to see where they move forward with his guard room, because, I mean, you need to see Victor Oladipo come back, if he's going to come back. If not, then, Nunn's a free agent. Hero's still on the rookie contract, and then you enter the offseason, it's okay, do we need to bring back Depot? Do we need to bring back Nunn? Is Kyle Lowry an option? Like, where did they have a lot of questions to answer.
Leif scared me on the timeline the other day. It's like the Heat are going to split their cap space between Lowry and DeMar, and I'm like, oh, no. I've seen that movie. I
wouldn't hate
up
that.
Close and personal. No, because you did not watch that as personally as I did.
Yeah, but
I know how
but
that
also
ends.
They're not your number 1 and number 2 scoring options.
I know how that ends. I've seen it. I don't like it. Yeah, Nekias, I think there's like zero chance that they keep Nunn this offseason. It's just I mean, I doubt they keep Depot at this point. Judging from what certain outlets are reporting, it seems like it's a pain tolerance thing. Which, by the way, like I don't mind getting into a little bit. Like, I don't really like how the Heat leaked that, and they did the same thing with Justice Winslow, and it always like rubs me the wrong way. It's like I think that they're used to like these Udonis and these Alonzo-esque kind of pain tolerators, right? Like for their, they're very militant in that, and I get it, but like I don't know, it's pretty like fucked up when you leak it's a pain tolerance thing, because like your season's going sideways, and what the fuck do you think your fan base is gonna say? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's like I haven't followed closely like who's leaked what, so I can't speak to that specifically. I think in a vacuum, just you kind of want to keep that in house. Like you kind of want to protect the player at that point. And if it is a pain tolerance, especially a guy like Victor Oladipo who has this history of lower leg injuries, and he's also
in a contract year.
So like it's understandable that he wouldn't want to press that to begin with. But once you add in the financial incentive, and it's not like Depot's making this decision on a team that's like a top 3 team in the East where they have like legit title aspirations. Like this is a team struggling towards the bottom of the playoff pool. So I would imagine that also factors into the calculus for him. Like, am I really going to push this at 85% for the chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals? Like, no. And like, if that's part of it, again, I don't know Victor Oladipo personally or anything like that, so I'm not trying to project that. But if that was a thought process for him, I can't say that I would blame him.
I kind of want to put one thing in there because I feel like we've known all along that Victor really wanted to be in Miami. Mm-hmm. So he finally gets his wish. Obviously, this isn't what he expected to happen, but, Miami's looking at this situation, and they're going to decide whether they want to keep him this summer moving forward. But it doesn't help his case if he wants to still stick around in Miami, if he doesn't at least try to come back in the playoffs. I don't imagine he'll come back in the regular season, but I could see him still come back in the first round. I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that it makes sense for him to come off the bench. I kind of feel like at that point you need to start starting him, or else just sit him. Because what are you going to try to get from him? Like 10 minutes off the bench? Is that all you're trying to get out of him?
Anything? I mean, have you seen their guard rotation?
I mean, if you just give him Gabe Vincent minutes.
Like, just literally, like... Poor Gabe. I love Gabe, but goddamn.
Well, then I guess that's the next question. Like, okay, say Victor comes back. Obviously, Spo made the decision to start Goran in the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. I don't imagine that's happening again this year.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Just based on his
play. I
kind
of laughed at the idea that Ethan put out there when he said, like, well, yeah, no, you got to start none in the playoffs. And I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. They're going to start Oladipo. And I'm like, 9 games left. I don't really know. Ethan might be right here.
But yeah, I just feel like if Victor really wanted to stay in Miami, it might benefit him if he played.
That's a good point. that's like a really good point. But I don't know. I mean, it's tough. We're not like plugged in to the organization. They might be facing a situation in this offseason where they they probably don't lose Goran, but like they could lose none and they could lose Depot. That's half your like guard rotation.
Yeah, and like honestly, this should just kind of be it for Goran in the Heat uniform, if we're being honest.
Oh, come on. No, he's going to come back, and he's a lifer, dude.
I know he's going to.
He's a lifer.
But, like, if we're just...
Then he's coming back. That's about it.
Nekias, don't be Nekias Duncan of Basketball News, right? Don't be that guy for a second. Be Nekias Duncan that used to write articles on your phone. Be that guy for a second. Goran doesn't make you happy as a fan. Like you're just like, man, I like him and I just like want him to kind of be around, even if it's for 10 minutes a game off the bench. I love that guy. That guy is amazing and he means a lot to this organization. I want him here.
So you want him to be Udonis Haslem?
No, but he'll play. He can give you 10 minutes. I mean, he's kind of doing it. I can make a statistical argument that Goran Dragić is good. I can't do that for you.
Well, I mean, I guess that much is true. But, I mean, even when I was writing articles on the phone, like, the article I wrote for Heatbeat that got me yelled at for months on end.
The Dwayne Wade one?
Yeah.
That was still one of our most, like, viewed stories on our site.
That is.
So, like, this isn't good for me. Like, I just, even as a fan, like, I care about what I'm watching. Like,
okay. What about this? Goran on, Nunn and Tyler off, almost 400 minutes, plus 11 net rating, 119 offensive rating.
I mean, that's cool. What's the defensive rating?
106.
Okay. I don't think he's the reason for that.
No, he's not the reason for the defense, but they can put enough defensive players around him without those other two guards that make that. And like if you go Goran, Duncan, I'm pulling this up as we speak, Jimmy, and Bam, that lineup is crazy good. So when they're arguably like the core that made the finals, right, minus Tyler. Mm-hmm. So those four on in 90 minutes, plus 20 net rating, 120 offensive rating, 99 defensive rating. So like I can make an argument that like he helps their lineups. Like whether he looks great or not, I think his ability to push the ball, I do think he's a pesky rebounder. And if he rebounds and he pushes, that's good for the offense. He does get them into stuff a little earlier than Jimmy. Mm-hmm. And I think that helps. Like, I think that there's arguments of like, okay, you can play him in certain lineups, maybe not, start him and play him for like 30 minutes. But I think that there's like, he's still a productive player when put in the right positions.
That's fair. It's just the context that he needs is getting more and more specific.
Yes.
He ages. And then and then you look at the rest of the roster is like, okay, how many ways can we actually put him in this context? And it's really only starting him. And with Miami switching everything now, like it just puts an even larger target on his back.
But he won't switch stuff. They'll hard show and recover if they want to like put him in the torture chamber like they did against the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean there are ways to counter it. It's also a lot of extra work that I think in an ideal world you wouldn't want to have to navigate that.
But you'd have to do that with Nunn and Tyler anyway. And that's kind of the reality that they face.
Yeah, I mean I think there are degrees of help that you have to send those guys though.
Yeah, I can see that.
I understand, yeah. But I mean if we're talking about the extra effort, I do think that like in a playoff series against, any sort of power wing that would ask, Goran's man or to come screen, they're just gonna go at him.
Right.
Especially, so against the Knicks, what's your lineup?
The Knicks can't score. I'm not scared of them.
What do you mean they can't score? They got Julius Randle.
They're a bad offensive team.
They got Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickly.
I'm not doing this again. I did this on Hangover Time yesterday. I'm not doing this again.
Chad was asking for a part two.
Chad was asking for. Listen, I heard it on Hangover Time. Don't boil my blood. And I like Steve Jones. I don't want him to get mad at me for getting at his team.
Is that his team?
It's not, but it's a bit.
It's like a bit.
It's too late.
What is his team? Or does he have a team? Or no, not anymore probably because
he's like worked for a million teams.
Yeah. He's a fan of all 30 teams. He's one of those fans.
I didn't listen to Dunker Spot this week. I was gonna listen tomorrow. I've been like super busy. Did you take your victory lap on Dedmon?
I have not taken official victory lap on.
Okay, I'm gonna wait for that. That's gonna be glorious. That's the only wash big that you ever liked.
Come on, man.
You and me, dude. We're aligned in not wanting wash bigs. I feel like I like my ally because like we're not any big over 30 unless it's Marc Gasol.
Yeah, like you gotta be able to defend, like defend, shoot, preferably both. Yeah, but like you can't
not even shoot. If you can roll, like can you hard roll and defend? I'll take it.
Can you be a Dewayne Dedmon?
Listen, Dewayne Dedmon has to be in the MVP conversation. I saw Streaky Shooter say that about campaign last night, and I was like, damn it, I wish I thought of that for Dedmon. That'd be funny. All right, so we're going to get out of here in a second. I know people want to watch the draft. I want to talk quickly about the remaining schedule. So at Cleveland on Saturday, then at Charlotte on Sunday, road back-to-back. Then they have 2 home games versus Dallas, versus Minnesota with a couple days of rest in between. Then it's a big one. It's at Boston, May 9th, and then a couple days of rest at Boston, May 11th. By the way, Adam Silver, I will see you in hell for scheduling a 1 p.m. game on Mother's Day. F you. Thursday at Philly, which that might rest guys. That's the third to last game of the season. Then a couple days, Milwaukee, and then a back-to-back at Detroit. Nekias, I know I may get made fun of. They could only lose 2 games in this stretch. There is a universe where they beat Cleveland, Charlotte, maybe lose to Dallas, split the Boston games, and then beat the rest of them because Milwaukee and Philly are going to rest everybody. There's a world.
There is, in fact, a world that this happens. My issue with that is that I have been watching this Heat offense all year long.
Me too.
And that is what scares me about this stretch. Because in a vacuum, they absolutely, like, forget a world in which they go 7-2. Like, there's a world that they could win all of these.
Yes.
But, like, I've just struggled to trust what they're doing offensively. Like, they've switched between defensive schemes all year, and they've become an elite defensive unit, and they've been fine. But the offense has just kind of been the offense regardless of what the personnel is. So I just don't know how to trust that at this stage.
So since the trade deadline, the Heat are 14th in offense. Okay. So that's something, and that coincides with Duncan, being an elite shooter again.
Yes.
Duncan, by the way, in the stretch since then, has the second most threes in the league on 48% shooting, 45% shooting from three, only behind Steph Curry in made threes in that span. That's good company to be in. One ahead of Bogdanović in Utah, which, goddamn, he's good. That team, man. Woof. A problem. But so 14th in offense. So while it's been bad, they've gone middle of the pack-ish in that time frame. They're still they have a plus net rating. They're +1. So it's not all bad. They have they have a top. They're 11-8 since then. Not great. It's about what they are, but there's a lot of bad defenses, man. Cleveland stinks. Dallas inspires. How much confidence does Dallas inspire you? Minnesota, that's a game that I really don't see a universe where they lose that game. I don't care if Jimmy has to,
I
go 1-on-5. Yeah.
I said that about the first one, and then
I know, dude, but it won't. It can't happen again. Like Jimmy can't lose that game. He can't. He can't.
I mean, I don't. At this point, they can lose to anybody.
They
can
have
lose to
3
any
days
of the
rest.
30 teams in the NBA because they pretty much have.
They have 2 days rest. They have it's a Tuesday against Dallas, Friday against Minnesota. Yeah, they have rest.
And I've realized that those 2 days of rest mean nothing to this team.
No, yeah, it does. Put Goran in ice. Put Dedmon. They're probably keeping Dedmon in a damn freezer. I mean, keep that man healthy.
Look, I want them to win. I just can't. Like, I'm not betting anything on this team anymore.
No, we should never bet anything in a COVID season. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything.
But can they win it? Sure. Will they win it? I mean, might as well just roll a magic 8-ball.
The Boston games they split, right? Like I think that's reasonable. I think if they win both, that'd be a surprise. I mean, Tatum is really good.
Yeah,
maybe they win both.
They'll probably end up winning one. They'll probably win the first one and lose. No, they'll probably lose the first one, win the second one. That's usually what happens.
Kemba's having knee issues again, right, Nekias? I know he missed last night.
Yeah, it's been very up and down for Kemba because it looked like he was starting to almost turn the corner after a cold start when he first got back, and now it's just kind of been uneven, and now he's out again. So I don't know. More Peyton Pritchard, I guess.
No. But yeah, so I mean, their stretch is easy. The Hawks have a pretty tough. The Celtics have an easier schedule remaining, so I think they're like the team I'd watch closest. But Miami has 2 games against them, so they kind of control their own fate.
The Knicks have the hardest schedule. It looks like
the Knicks have a brute. Now I mentioned this on Hangover Time yesterday, and I was mainly memeing on them. But I mean, Nekias, have you seen this?
They play Lakers
to close their season at Houston, at Memphis on the second night of a back-to-back, then at Denver, at Phoenix, at the Clippers, and at the Lakers, which they'll probably have LeBron and AD back. Then against the Spurs, Charlotte, and Boston. That's hell. The only gimme is Houston, and that's it.
Yeah, that might get a little tight for them.
That's gonna be. I mean, they could go under 500 that stretch. I mean, Denver, Phoenix, Clippers, Lakers. What?
So you're telling me the Heat and the Celtics are gonna be playing a 4-5 matchup?
I think that New York is in danger of free falling to 7th, and I think all this cute little celebration that everyone's been doing, and all the little Chris Rock and Jon Stewart on ESPN and all this little cute stuff. Listen, when the Heat went through that schedule, they rightfully got their ass kicked, and they fell down in the standings, because everybody will. The Raptors are about to go through that stretch, and it's gonna look bloody and ugly because like that. What is that? 1, 2, 3. That's a 6-game West Coast trip. The season doesn't make sense.
That makes zero sense. Why would you put that at the end of their schedule? Right before the playoffs, they're gonna make them travel all the way over there. That
is weird. And then the 3 games at home, the Spurs, who are going to be fighting for a playoff spot for their lives, the Hornets, who are they going to have LaMelo back? Gordon
doesn't seem that way, I don't think.
No? What about Gordon?
I don't know about Gordon. Like, from what I've heard, like, LaMelo's close. Like, maybe he comes back at some point.
Really? I thought he was out even through the playoffs.
No, they made it. They kind of made it seem like he might play in the playoffs if they make it.
Yeah, we got like a 7 to 10 days report from LaMelo, like, late last week. So, like, he should be back no later than the end of next week, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, then they'll probably rush him so they can try to get into a play-in game.
Atlanta's schedule's, pretty tough, too. They have Philly again tomorrow. The Blazers, who are in free fall, but they really need these wins. Phoenix, Indiana, Washington twice, which Washington, by the way, that team's playing their best basketball.
That team, if they get to the play-in game, that'd be fun if they actually win and make it to the playoffs.
It'd be fun if they get to play Brooklyn or something. I think I think the no defense of Brooklyn would make it for a lot of fun Westbrook and Beal stuff. Is there Nekias, last thing before we go out, is there a particular matchup in the first round you'd like to watch?
Give me Durant and Harden. Oh, I want to see that.
Give me one for the Heat that you'd like. Maybe one for the Heat that you feel like would be fun and like you think that they could win, and one that like maybe a non-Heat playoff series that you could see in the first round.
Okay, so let me pull up the standings just to make sure I'm not talking out of my butt here.
East is gonna be low key fun. These teams at the bottom, they're a little scrappy, and I know that they're probably not gonna upset any of the top teams. But I mean, there are some potential spicy matchups.
Yeah, like in terms of the spicy Heat matchup, like I kind of want Heat Philly.
Me too, dude.
Like,
Me too.
I think that's. Like, honestly, if you're picking Miami to upset one of the top 3 teams of these, like, I think Philly is prime for that. Like, Philly's better, but there are things Miami can pick at there. A fun Heat matchup, like, sign me up for Heat Hawks, honestly. Like, I think
that would actually be, like, probably, like, really, really, really good basketball.
I feel like that'd be a really good series.
Yeah.
In the non-Heat division,
I think Celtics Bucks would be a lot of fun.
I could see that.
I think
the Lakers
Celtics Bucks could be
Lakers
fun.
still 5th seed, right? Who they play right now?
Yeah, like I mean,
the West is such a crapshoot right now. It's like it's hard to project anything.
Yeah, like the easy one out west would be like Lakers Clippers in the first round, since that's very much a thing that could happen.
I think Warriors Utah would be fun.
Yeah, that's kind of the one.
Like you get Steph hot for a couple games, and if you can get Draymond to score 11 points, you might be onto something.
I love that 11 points is the drop off for Draymond.
I die because like on Light Years, I listen to their post game stuff. Shout out to Sam and Andy; they do a great job. They're like, can Draymond like score in double figures? Did you see that Twitter video going around of like Draymond Green in the 9-loss season where he's just like hitting threes, and someone's like, he's hit 7 of 9, and then they're like, Draymond used to what? I was like, oh yeah, young Warrior fans don't know that he tricked us into thinking he was a great shooter.
Yeah, that was the one season he shot like 37% from 3 or something like that on like moderate volume. It was very odd because you knew what he brought on defense, you knew what he brought as a passer, then he could shoot. So it's just like, okay, well, we just can't guard this team.
Thus, why they never lost.
Until they did.
Was that the Dion season? Was that the year that Dion beat them, or no?
I think that was the year after, if I'm not mistaken.
Because I know that he beat them that year. That undefeated that 9-loss season, that he did beat them. I don't remember. I know they beat him. They might have beaten them 3 straight times in Miami, 4 straight times really, because if you count this year, because the Dewayne buzzer beater, then the Dion game. I think the Dion game was the first KD year, and they did beat him. I know for a fact that the Heat were one. What? Okay, we'll check this live and then we'll leave. What season was that Warrior season?
Warrior season was 15-16. So like that would have been
2015-16 Warrior schedule. Okay,
this is great. We're gonna great podcast right here.
This is what it's all about. We're going back to the 2015-16 season. There's a lot of W's on this chart. Oof. Lot of W's. Okay. They beat Miami in January. We're going down. Never mind. They swept Miami. I'm misremembering that.
Yeah, it would have had to have been 16-17. That was
It was close.
That was the 30 and 11 year. So
yeah. Yep. Okay. So there you go. That's what you come here for. Shout out to Nekias for making the time for us. We love him. Nekias, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything going up?
Let's see. If you haven't listened to this week's episode of the Dunker Spot, do that. Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. Wrote a piece about D'Angelo Russell earlier this week. Roman,
that was very good, by the way.
Thank you. Roman the Baseline drops every Wednesday, so if you haven't checked that out, do so please. Give me some clicks. I need to feed myself and future family. So we'll see. Dropping something tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly what yet.
When's the next Heat thing going up?
When is the next?
It's been a while. Heat fans are starved for Nekias Heat words.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I have been eyeing a Bam defense piece.
Michael Prada came out,
and then Michael Pena did the piece earlier. I was like, you know what? Yeah, he covered just about everything I wanted to. I'm not gonna double dip there. So maybe I do something on Jimmy at some point because I'm still intrigued by just how he just destroys everything off ball.
Can you walk people through how that feels when you have a great idea for something and you're like kind of workshopping it, and then someone drops your idea and you're just like, got to recalibrate?
Oh my goodness. I had a big one earlier this year. Like, I've been sitting on the premise that like drop defense is just kind of going to be dead soon, just with the rise of pull-up shooters and stuff. And I was just kind of sitting on that. I'm waiting to gather quotes for it so I can do this like research piece instead of just doing a film type deal. And then like Seth Partnow does a piece on drop defense. I'm just like, well, I definitely can't do it now because he's worked in the league. He is the numbers guy, and like. So much for that. But yeah, it's not a good, like, it makes me feel good that I had a good idea that someone else that I look up to would do it, but also it stinks because it's like, oh, well, I can't do it anymore. So just got to be quicker than that. That's the game.
I have your next great idea.
What you got?
You have to do a story on why you should not draft Bam Adebayo when Ekpe Udoh is available.
Could have had both.